Hello everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today, we're diving into a powerful story of love, betrayal, and survival, where a beautiful bride-to-be is kidnapped on the eve of her wedding, and the man who loves her must race against time to save her. But when the truth unfolds, the real enemy isn't who they thought it was. What secret could be dark enough to tear a family apart? Stay tuned to find out. And if you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next dramatic episode. Morning comes quietly. The sunlight drifts through a veil of mist hanging over the rice fields, turning the whole world gold. In the garden, Ly Tu Tieu moves slowly among rows of cucumber vines, her fingertips grazing their cool skins. There's a freshness in the air, crisp, clean, and bright, like the scent of summer itself. She holds up a tiny glass vial, a perfume she's made on her own. Cucumber-scented, simple, pure. When the sunlight hits it, it sparkles like a secret kept close to her heart. A few yards away, Yuri is working inside the shed. Sweat glistens on his forehead as he measures wooden planks, his movement steady and focused. But the moment he talks about the future, his whole face lights up. "Imagine it," he says, his tone teasing. "A wedding feast with so many preserved bamboo shoots. People will still be talking about it in 10 years. Tutieu laughs, a soft, genuine laugh that sounds like a bird taking off. For a second, everything feels light. They work together, sorting jars of spices, their hands brushing now and then, each touch like a silent promise exchanged between them. The farm hums with gentle life. Birds sing from the trees, and the small stream nearby whispers over the stones. Tutieu lifts her perfume again, inhaling deeply. It feels like she's bottled up a season, bright, fleeting, and impossibly warm. Across the table, Uri watches her with quiet tenderness. To him, she's not just the woman he's going to marry. She's his whole world, and he would protect that world with everything he has. Neither of them notice the storm building far away in the city. For now, there's only sunlight and laughter. A love so strong, it feels like nothing could ever touch it. But happiness, as always, is fragile. Like a cucumber covered in morning dew, perfect and delicate until the first bruise appears. Tutieu tilts her head, letting the breeze play with her hair. Uri reaches out, threading his fingers through hers. For this small, perfect moment, they are each other's sky, bright, whole, and unbroken. The jars clink softly. The stream keeps singing. Life, in that instant, feels like forever. Far away, in a sleek high-rise apartment, the world looks very different. Cold neon light spills through the window, washing over Mother Yuri's face. Sharp, composed, and utterly merciless. Behind her polished ebony desk, she taps her fingers slowly, deliberately. Her eyes glint, not with joy, but something darker. Resentment sharpened into vengeance. Across from her, Lynn sits with her head bowed, long black hair hiding most of her face, but her trembling hands give her away. "You know what needs to be done," Mother Uri says at last. Her voice is low, smooth, dangerous, like silk sliding over a blade. The plan she outlines is ruthless. Ly Tu Tieu is to be taken, kidnapped right before the wedding, and hidden away in an abandoned warehouse. Meanwhile, Uri will be drugged during the pre-wedding celebration, confused enough to mistake Lynn for his bride. He'll never know the difference, Mother Uri murmurs, with a thin, cruel smile. Lynn nods, her body tense. Is it fear that makes her obey? Or ambition? No one can tell. Outside the door, silent men wait, expressionless, like shadows given form. The city sparkles below, thousands of lights glowing in the dark. But inside this room, there's only cold calculation. Mother Uri rises, her gray silk gown shifting like a gathering storm. She stares out the window, but what she really sees is Uri laughing beside Tutieu. That vision alone cuts deeper than any knife. They will not have their happy ending, she whispers, her tone colder than glass. Lin leaves the office, footsteps echoing like the sound of betrayal itself. Behind her, Mother Uri lifts a crystal glass of wine, her gaze sharp and unyielding. She smiles, victorious. Yet buried beneath that hard shell is something no one ever sees. A mother's pain twisted into something monstrous. Late afternoon paints the farm in soft gold. Tutieu stands near the cucumber patch again, her perfume bottle catching the light. She takes a deep breath, that clean, green scent wrapping around her like comfort. But then, something changes. The air feels heavier. In the distance, tires crunch quietly on the dirt road. A truck, moving far too silently for its size. Shadows slip through the fence. Men, faces blank, hearts colder than stone. Tutieu whirls around, eyes wide. She grabs the nearest thing she can, a garden hoe, and shouts, voice sharp and fierce. But there are too many of them. A blow slams into her shoulder, sending her crashing to the ground. The perfume bottle flies from her hand, shattering against the dirt. Its scent, fresh, bright cucumber, bursts into the air, one last note of summer before fading away completely. Rough hands grab her wrists, tying them tight. A blindfold steals her vision. She kicks, thrashes, screams, but the men drag her away, unyielding. The truck's doors slam shut. The engine roars, drowning her cries as they vanish into the night. Inside the darkness, Tutieu forces herself to stay calm. Her shoulder throbs, her knees scrape the floor of the truck. She whispers through gritted teeth, "Uri will find me." When they shove her into the warehouse, the air is thick with mildew and rust. The ropes bite into her skin, but she doesn't stop. Inch by inch, she grinds them against a splintered edge, refusing to give in. Back at the farm, silence falls like a blanket. The broken glass lies among the dirt, its fragrance, once so bright, already fading. The stream still runs, the birds still sing, but something is missing now. The air itself feels hollow. In that darkness, Tutieu clings to Uri's face in her mind, his smile, his eyes, his warmth. That love becomes her fire. She may be trapped, but she is not broken. She will fight. She will survive. The hall glows with chandeliers and laughter. Music drifts like silk through the air. It's Uri's pre-wedding celebration, alive, joyful, full of hope. Uri stands in the center, radiant, every smile tied to Tutieu's name. But when he lifts his glass, he pauses. The taste of the wine, strange, bitter. He frowns, but lets it go. Too late. The room starts to spin. Colors blur. Laughter stretches into echoes. And then, through the haze, he sees her, a woman in white. Her gown identical to Tutieu's. Her hair loose, her voice soft. "Uri," she whispers, "it's me." But something's wrong. There's no cucumber scent, no trace of the bright, fresh perfume that always follows Tutieu. The realization hits him like a jolt of fire. "You're not her," he growls, shoving Lin back, eyes blazing through the fog. Lynn falters, panic flashing across her face. Uri's hands shake as he grabs his phone, forcing his voice through the haze. Ly Tu Tieu's in danger. Find her. Now. The drug pulls him down again, his body collapsing into the chair, but his mind refuses to break. He clings to her image, her smile, her scent. The truth that cuts through everything. The party continues around him, blissfully unaware. But for Uri, the celebration is over. Now, only the fight remains. The night outside is thick and silent, swallowing every trace of light. Ly grips the steering wheel tight, Uri's trembling voice echoing in his head. Old warehouse, outskirts, check now, no hesitation. He doesn't think, he just drives. The tires screech against gravel, headlights carving through the darkness like blades. Behind him, a convoy of security vehicles follows, red and blue lights flickering over empty fields. Every second stretches longer than the last. Ly's jaw tightens. He knows what's at stake. Inside the warehouse, Tutieu lies curled on the cold concrete floor. Her wrists are raw where the ropes dig into her skin. Her breath shallow but steady. The air reeks of damp metal and dust. Somewhere outside, she hears an engine. Tires. Voices. Hope? Or just her mind playing tricks on her? Then a crash. The door bursts open, a flood of light pouring in so bright it hurts her eyes. Ly's voice rings out, strong and sure. She's here! The men who took her are gone, melted into the night like ghosts. Only Lynn remains, pressed against the far wall, face pale and eyes wild. For a moment, her gaze meets Tutieu's. Guilt, fear, something unspoken flashing between them. And then Lynn bolts, vanishing into the dark. Ly rushes forward, cutting through the ropes. Tutieu gasps when her hands are freed, her whole body trembling from exhaustion. Her knees buckle, but Ly catches her before she hits the ground. You're safe now, he murmurs, his voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. Uri's waiting. The wail of an ambulance pierces the night. Red lights strobe across Tutieu's face as paramedics lift her inside. Ly stays beside her the entire ride, silent but unshakable, his eyes fixed on the fading horizon. At the hospital, Uri waits, pale, still weak from the drugs, but standing. When he sees her, his breath catches. He stumbles forward, takes her hand, and everything else, the lights, the noise, the pain, fades away. She's alive. Her pulse is faint but real. Relief hits him so hard his knees almost give. Tutieu opens her eyes just long enough to whisper, "Thank you." Ly lingers by the doorway, watching through the glass as Uri bends close, pressing his forehead to hers. The war isn't over, not even close, but in that fragile moment, they are whole again. Outside, the night still hums with danger. Shadows move at the edges of everything. Yet inside that hospital room, there is light, soft, trembling, but real. Morning creeps into the hospital, pale and unkind. White lights hum above Tutieu's bed, outlining her fragile figure in shades of silver. Uri sits by her side, his fingers locked around hers, as if his touch alone could keep her tethered. Somewhere else in the city, another set of footsteps echoes. Sharp, deliberate, the sound of heels against a polished floor. Mother Uri enters the police station like she owns the ground she walks on. Her silk gown flows behind her, her face cold and unreadable. Officers slide a stack of evidence across the table. Photos, documents, testimonies, each one pointing at her. She doesn't even blink. "You have nothing?" she says smoothly, lips curling into a thin smirk. Hours later, the door opens again, and a lawyer steps inside. Crisp suit, confident stride, the weight of power in his presence. Papers are signed, calls are made, and just like that, Mother Uri walks free. At the hospital, Uri gets the news. His grip tightens on Tutieu's hand until his knuckles turn white. Anger burns in his chest, but he swallows it down. He can't afford to fall apart now. The wedding is postponed. The dreams they built, gone, scattered like ash. But when Tutieu finally wakes, her voice is soft yet steady. "We'll get through this," she whispers. Uri nods, though the storm in his heart doesn't calm. Back at the farm, Viet works tirelessly to hold things together. He checks supply lists, calls vendors, pushes orders out. His hands don't stop moving, but every so often, his gaze drifts to the broken perfume bottle still lying in the dirt. The glass glints faintly under the morning sun, a quiet reminder of how easily joy can shatter. High above the city, in her towering apartment, Mother Uri stands at her window, looking down at the glowing skyline. The victory should feel sweet, but her eyes are hollow. She's surrounded by everything: power, luxury, silence, yet utterly alone. At the hospital, Uri sits by Tutieu's side. Her face is pale but peaceful. He brushes a strand of hair from her forehead and whispers, "No one will ever hurt you again." It's not just a promise. It's a vow sealed in his bones. Still, the shadows remain. He knows she's out there, his mother, waiting, watching, plotting. Dawn breaks again. The light spilling into the hospital room is softer this time, gentler. Tutieu stirs, her eyes fluttering open. They're clearer today, brighter. Uri hasn't slept, his shirt wrinkled, hair tousled. But when he sees her awake, a faint smile tugs at his lips. "We'll start again," he says quietly, his voice rough but steady. "No matter what." Tutieu's fingers tighten around his. Her smile is weak but filled with something powerful: resilience. Together, they've been broken and rebuilt, piece by fragile piece. Back at the farm, Viet stands among rows of jars, the preserved bamboo shoots neatly lined up once again. He makes more calls, his tone calm but firm. The business trembles, but it doesn't fall. Like the grass after a storm, it bends, but rises again. Outside, the stream continues to flow, whispering the same quiet song of endurance it always has. Uri and Tutieu walk through the garden together. The cucumber vines have begun to grow new shoots. Uri mentions rebuilding the perfume workshop, and for the first time in days, Tutieu's eyes light up. "Cucumber," she says softly. "I'll make it again." That single word, cucumber, carries more than just a scent. It's hope reborn. It's the memory of everything they've survived, and the promise of what's to come. But danger still lingers in the distance. Mother Uri remains free, her silence heavier than her schemes ever were. Somewhere in the city's dark corners, Lynn hides, her fate uncertain, her guilt shadowing every step. Tutieu gazes out the window at the rice fields swaying gently in the morning light. "We're stronger than them," she whispers. Uri nods, though his heart still carries the ache of everything they've lost. Yet his spirit remains unbroken. They may not have their wedding today. They may not have it tomorrow, but they have each other. Uri and Tutieu's love faces its darkest trial, when a pre-wedding celebration turns into a nightmare. Drugged and kidnapped by Lynn, Tutieu is rescued just in time by Viet and Uri. But the trauma leaves deep scars. As Tutieu recovers in the hospital, Uri discovers that the mastermind behind it all might be someone much closer, his own mother. While justice seems near, power and influence twist the truth, allowing his mother to walk free. The wedding is postponed, dreams shattered, yet their bond grows stronger through pain. With Viet's quiet support, the farm and their lives begin to heal. Still, danger lingers in the shadows. Love, betrayal, and revenge intertwine once more as Uri and Tutieu vow to rebuild everything. No matter how many storms await,